Two, one. What's up? What's up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. NBA Talk with Jay Money and the Shark. We here. It's Monday. It's another day. We ready to get to it, Shark. What's up with you, my guy? Everything cool?
Absolutely. November 8th, 2021, Monday morning. I say it every day, every Monday. I will say it again. My favorite Monday. Mondays are not supposed to be fun. It's a weekend. You're lackluster. You're this, you're that. Select in your mind. You can create an environment for yourself. I do it every day. I didn't wake up feeling particularly good today after the Hornets melt yesterday. Did some meditation, some things in my mind. I feel free. I feel relaxed. I feel great. And I feel blessed to be here as always. We have the best followers in the world. We have the greatest interactions. I have the best partner. Jay Money's money. He's the man. I love him to death. And let's dominate this card. We got 7 plays on the card. 7 games, I should say. And let's dive right into it. Jay Money, where should we begin here?
Let's get to it, man. Let's go to the streets of Chicago here. We got the Bulls opening up at 1.5 down to 1. We got the Nets here red hot. 4 straight wins, 5 straight wins. They're red hot. Bulls off a couple losses here, obviously due to come back up at the house here, looking to bounce back. Shark, you got the hat on. What we looking at?
Entering the lab officially. First official play, Chicago Bulls -1. A lot to look at here. You're getting a double revenge game for the Bulls. Go back to last year. They did lose the last 2 outcomes. But I always say this. You want to look at the full sample of last year. The Bulls did beat them 115-107 in a game in the United Center last year, early season. And what you look at with Brooklyn coming in here, Brooklyn's in a really tough travel spot. 3rd and 4 road back-to-back after beating Toronto in a matinee yesterday. They've traveled all over that section of the country the last 4 days. Detroit, Toronto. Now you come into Chicago. And you find Chicago here off 2 losses to Philly, which we had obviously capped and kind of run around both sides of the Sixers spots. But the Sixers do sustainably own the Bulls. We had gone back on that last year, and I had said on the record, even when it moved towards the Bulls, the line last year, the Sixers still did win. Of course, they did last time as well. This is not the case in this environment. This line is ultra strong for Chicago. The line has moved across the board towards Brooklyn over the last 3 matchups. -2.5 was the starting point, the shortest of the 3 in Chicago last year when Chicago did win on a Sunday afternoon. Then in the revenge game, it moved to 4.5 for the Nets. The Nets did cover and win on the road. And then in the final matchup of the year in Barclays, it came way up to -11 Brooklyn, and Brooklyn did cover that as well. So the line functionality does matter here, contrary to Chicago versus Philadelphia, where it does not matter. So now you get the double revenge game. You get the ultra fatigue spot. You get the Bulls off an L2, and you get this dynamic where Brooklyn is 0-2 ATS on the road against the Central, a non-cover at Detroit, and a non-cover prior to that. Great look all around. Chicago, top look of the day, -1 unit.
Yes, sir. Could not talk you off a couple straight losses. Obviously, the 76ers are red hot right now, my guys. You got the Nets here, 3rd game in 4 nights, all on the road. Like I said, they have been red hot, winning 5 straight. 4 of those were they won 5 straight and 6 out of 7. 4 of those were at the house where they were just on that 6-game homestand. They did go to Detroit, clean them up, didn't cover. Then they go to the Raptors yesterday. It's going to be something. Obviously, guys, teams coming out of Toronto, you got to go through check-in and all this stuff. It's actually a more lengthy process than it is just traveling regularly in the United States and all of the COVID protocols you have to go through. So the Nets are red hot right now. I must say I'm not fading today, but I definitely see scenarios where the Bulls come in here, turn up, and win this game at the house. So obviously the Nets don't play the caliber defense that the 76ers do. So Bulls should definitely be able to get it done here, my guys. Speaking of 76ers, we got the some news right before the show come out. Joel Embiid is resting today, so interesting to see what's up with that one. We know the Knicks are coming off a back-to-back. They got cleaned up last night versus the Cavs. In theory, this is the bounce back spot. Nothing could go right for the Knicks yesterday. I'll be honest. I like to hop on teams when they're coming off a game like they did yesterday. The Knicks just didn't come to play. They weren't getting any calls, no effort yesterday. The Cavs cleaned them up. Now they've lost 3 out of the last 4, coming in off a loss. Go to Philly here now. The 76ers have been red hot, guys. Won 6 straight, covered 5 straight as well. Obviously, it's tough to fade them. They were down a bunch of guys. Be interested to see if they can keep it going today without Embiid. Shark, how you looking at this one?
This is a tough one, real tough. There's a lot of counter narratives and counter numerical movement points here. Of course, yeah, you do get the revenge game for the Sixers. The Sixers played their worst game of the whole season at the Knicks, which we heard correctly, 112-99 Knicks. The Sixers had beat them, I believe, 17 straight times prior to that. So again, the point that I just made off the record, the Knicks should start clustering wins against the Sixers to get back to more of a normalized average, probably around 40 to 50% long term, particularly with these roster groups moving towards each other in the average as opposed to away from each other, with the Knicks being awful for close to a decade coming in here. But again, the number is scaling towards Philly. It was -1.5 Knicks. It's -4 here. It's 5.5. It should be 3. However, last year in Philadelphia, the lines were much stronger. They were anywhere between 7 and 10. So it's really just a very middle ground, sharp line. I think this game is going to hover right around it. It's not something I'm trying to involve myself with. And again, you made the comment, the Knicks definitely tanked the look-ahead game yesterday. We had discussed that off the record. Of course, we were not on the air yesterday. But the Cleveland side yesterday was a great take to fade them there. The Knicks just did not bring it. They did not play a focused style. Basketball was loose. It was haphazard. But again, it was a sandwich spot. Front end back-to-back. This is the 3rd and 4 back-to-back now. Should be a fatigue spot. But again, we say this all the time. The Knicks are the one team that you can kind of throw out these dynamics with. The Knicks can turn it up in the regular season when they really want to. Will they want to here? Probably. Awful loss yesterday, having gotten obliterated for 17 straight prior to winning at home. I can see the Knicks coming in here with a representative effort. But again, Philly on this number is not a fade spot.
Yes, sir. Let me see. I just got to see where the line's going. So it's going down to -1.5, -1. We don't know for sure that Kemba Walker will be back here. Like Shark said, the 76ers had beat them 9 straight times before the Knicks finally beat them. They were favored here. I'd be interested to see if the Knicks close here as a favorite. Obviously, like I say, Walker sat out yesterday for rest. I did read that it's not guaranteed that he'll play today. I'll tell you why the Knicks probably win this game. The 76ers are looking ahead to the Bucks tomorrow. They play the Bucks tomorrow. It's the first game of back-to-back. That's why they're resting Embiid. I'm wondering, why the hell are they resting them? It's just, you know what I'm saying? They're hot right now. You should try to win all the games you want. You can. It's a huge look ahead. Obviously, the Bucks are the champs. They're getting everyone's best shot right now. They just took a loss yesterday versus the Wizards as well. So that's probably why Embiid's resting. They're pretty much probably chalking this game up. I mean, they still have Drummond over there. Thibault is still out. I think Tobias Harris may still be out as well. So be interesting to see. The 76ers been hot right now, my guys. But I'd be looking at the Knicks today. They're coming off a terrible game. They are only 1-4 against the spread last 5 games, but I'm sure they want to come in here and beat the 76ers up after being owned by them. They're on the back-to-back, but now you got the 76ers on the first game of back-to-back with a huge look ahead here. So I'd be looking at the Knicks to clean them boys up today, my guys.
Jay, just one further comment. Engage in the chat as always. Somebody said, why do you always look at last year? I only look at last year in the first 10 to 15 games of the season. I won't be referencing last year nearly as much as we get into the season. We're still very, very young in the campaign. Most teams have played roughly 10 games. And what I do is I look back, because a perfect example of why you look back is when the Knicks had lost 17 straight to Philly. You want to know stuff like that when you take the Knicks to beat them in Madison Square Garden. You have to know prerequisite history. It's not just about the last 5 games. And we talk about this all the time. You need to zoom in correctly and zoom out correctly and use the numbers and the dynamics. The more information, the better. It's very important, and it's long-term successful strategy. Just want to make that point. Thanks for the interactions, guys. My favorite Monday, a beautiful day. Let's continue, Jay.
Yes, sir. I could elaborate more on that, but let's just finish the game. It's my guy. Because I have been noticing a little bit that last year was a little bit of an anomaly, especially with the crowds. So it's crazy because last year they had teams playing their home arenas with no fans, and it's kind of a different dynamic this year. The year before that we had the COVID and it was the bubble, so it is pretty crazy. Some of these times the teams that's kicked their ass past a couple games, they still come and beat them. But obviously we know the right spot is to take the double revenge spot. I'm just saying the spots hadn't really been coming through, but as we get on into the season, I do think that they will that average will start to come, my guys. But we're going to the streets of Dallas, my guy. We're going to the streets of Dallas. I'll be honest, my team, I don't trust my Mavs here in this point range. I'm not betting the Pelicans. I can't tell anyone to bet the Pelicans. This is the last game of a 4-game road trip, but just know my Mavs, I know them. They don't take these type of games serious, man. You see it even versus the Celtics. You're up by 19 points, and you literally have to hit a game winner to win that game. It's just the way my Mavs are. Even if they get a 10, 15-point lead, I can still see them pissing away. It's all about who will come in this game playing harder, and I must say, I do think there will be the Pelican squad, even though I can't I won't be betting on them. I can't tell anyone to. I know my Mavs team, and I will not be laying the 8.5, 9 points with them. And I think that's right. You see the line coming down as well. Open up at 9, down to 8.5. Obviously, Ingram could come in here and play. Herb Jones could possibly come back. And that's the only way I would look towards the Pelicans if Ingram is in this game. But I do think this is a fade spot for my Mavs. Shark, anything in this game?
Oh, this is tough, real tough. Just looking at what was going on with the Mavs' home calendar so far, they are 1-4 ATS. And I go a little bit further into detail. The only spots against the West, of course, they have not covered against the Celtics by 1 point in overtime and got blown out against Miami, which we had on record here. But you go to the Western games, Rockets, Spurs, and Kings. They covered against the Kings by 1.5 points. They didn't cover against the Rockets by 0.5 point, and they didn't cover against the Spurs by 1.5 points. So when they're playing the West, particularly teams in the lower half of the West, it's very sharply graded. The fact that they're 1-2 in those environments, with the corollary being the Rockets game, I think this is going to be right on the number. I would tend to lean to a dispersion coming the other direction. I think we've tried to buy the Pelicans in certain formats, and the Pelicans have just proved they're just not playing professional level of basketball right now. Again, nothing official whatsoever. I think this is razor sharp. But again, we always talk about flipping dice, flipping coins. I think it's a coin flip line. I think Dallas is due to get a little more fortunate than unfortunate after getting backdoored against the Rockets on a 10.5.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Talk about due to be fortunate. The Pelicans usually get up and play a really good first half or really 3 quarters. They usually just melt it away in the fourth quarter. So I think if there was someone to get a little bit more fortunate in this game, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I love my Mavs, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pelicans win this game. I'm noticing something in Luka. Guy got to lose weight, man. He's still missing the key free throws and stuff. Like I say, the game shouldn't have come down to a game winner. Watch Luka. Watch the Mavs. You'll see Luka Doncic deferring to Jalen Brunson. I like it for the fact that the point guard off the bench coming and ball out, but I don't like it the fact that Luka right now is the best player on the team, and it's actually a little scary. Porzingis came back. He looked good, so that's something working well for us. But Finney-Smith has to work on the three-point shooting. I don't know what he's been doing all summer. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been streaky. Powell has been a bust. I don't know what the hell is going on with Dwight Powell. So, but just look, guys, Doncic is deferring to Jalen Brunson. I'm kind of worried about that right now. Like, I think the Mavs should win this game, but I couldn't ask them to come in here and win by double digits, especially for with a team that's lost 5 or 6 straight games, my guys. Let's go to this. The streets of Memphis here. Might go get some barbecue real quick. We got the Grizzlies laying 6 points here versus the Timberwolves. This is only their second game on the road, the Timberwolves. I'm not sure what to say about this squad because they were super hot. They're looking like they were on this major revenge tour. Got their coach. We're playing really good defense. Then they lost Russell, and everything has been in shambles. Then Cat saying, "Hey, free Cat!" All that. He had like he went out and shit. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Timberwolves right now. What you think about this one, Short?
This one I think is razor sharp on the number. I went back to last year. Memphis did beat them 3 times last year, but again, I look at the line functionality. It's very important to note if the books have a handle over these teams when they play against each other. They absolutely do. Minnesota was laying 2 points at home and lost early season, and then it came into Memphis, and Memphis laid 6.5. So that's an 8.5 point jump. And I think at that point in time, I remember talking about this game with you on record. We had speculated that we thought Minnesota would go in there and revenge them. And I had said, this is as I was also getting into, of course, the ambiguity of COVID 2020 campaign, but I had said -6.5, 8.5 gap. Memphis probably covers this. They did. Then they came back off that 6.5 to Minnesota, and it moved the stock 3 to 3.5. So there was no lean there. And Memphis won the game 139 to 135 by a hook. This is showcasing how sharp this matchup is. Now this moves back 2 points of strength on the road. It's 1 point short. It's getting steamed up by a half point. I truly believe this game is going to be a 3, 4, or 5 point Memphis victory.
So you like the Timberwolves? You be looking at the Timberwolves plus the season?
Lean Wolves. It's similar to what I said about Dallas on the dispersion on the sharp number. This number is 1 point sharp in a sharply graded, or 1 point short in a sharply graded environment, leaning towards Minnesota. Of course, you said it. They've only played 1 road game. They were very good in Milwaukee, but Milwaukee is an Eastern championship team. There's nothing to do with a young grinder team here. Again, zooming completely out of the matchup and looking how sharp the numbers are from Vegas here, I do think this is going to be tight on the number, but I think it would lean to Minnesota by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, in theory, Russell's still questionable. I don't think he's fully out, but probably closer to out or whatever. But he is starting to get a little closer coming back. The Grizzlies have absolutely owned this matchup, guys. It's definitely something I like to look at. Sometimes teams just own another. Maybe like the 76ers own the Bulls, but Grizzlies covered 9 out of 10 last 10 games, won 9 out of the last 10 as well. The only one that the Timberwolves did cover was on a +1 line. So the Grizzlies just seem to keep stacking up against them boys. Timberwolves, like I say, in my opinion right now, they're in shambles, lost 4 straight, 0-4 against the spread as well. The Grizzlies coming off a 30-point loss up there in Washington. So we know how Ja Morant is. He's been one of the better players this year. We'll see if he turns up tonight. I can see a close game here. It's not something that I'm messing with. Obviously, that 5.5, 6 is always kind of a dead zone as far as the spread, my guys. Let's go hit the streets of Denver, man. Let's go hit the dispensary one time, man. One of these dispensaries. We got the Nuggets here, 1.5. When they started off as the 1-point favorite, now the line has since flipped. Now the Heat laying 1.5. It was up to 2, down to 1.5. Heat here traveling on the road to the West. No Michael Porter Jr. for the Nuggets here. They have been very underperforming this year. What you like in this game, my guy?
Well, we're going to make this hat really a regular thing on this broadcast. We're going to the second buy hat on a suddenly not so casual, my favorite Monday, November 8, 2021. Visitors locker room, we're taking the Miami Heat here at -1.5. You go back to last year. Miami got insulted twice last year. Of course, we talk about this every single time I put this hat on. Miami underperformed more than almost any other team last year. Bubble playoff run, never got it together, super inconsistent. This is absolutely a revenge tour. They are deeper than most teams. They are more professional than most teams, and they just straight up care more to beat your ass right now in the beginning of this 21-22 campaign. Of course, you do get a double revenge game. They lost both games to Denver last year by double digits. We've seen this twice already. Dallas got them twice by double digits last year. They went into Dallas and pounded them on a good number. Memphis got them twice by double digits last year. They went into Memphis on a 3rd and 4 home road back-to-back off a win and blew them out. You look at what happened last year in Denver. They lost 123-106. However, not only was it an inconsistent campaign for Miami, it was a brutal spot. They were on a 3rd and 4 road back-to-back in the middle of a West Coast trip, coming off a game in Phoenix the prior night. This is a complete opposite environment. They're full rest. And if you really look at what Denver is doing here, Denver really has been unimpressive consistently in this campaign so far. They did, of course, open the season with a revenge win in Phoenix. That would be the most impressive performance of the entire season for them. They came home non-cover against the Spurs on a Monday night, not coincidentally, at home against Cleveland, who has proved to be a scrappy East team. Miami's a scrappy East team. Cleveland hammered them 99-87. They did not cover at the Jazz. They blew out the Mavericks, which was their second best performance of the year. Then they did not cover at the Grizzlies twice and laid down at home on a huge figure to the Rockets. They have not been impressive outside of beating the Suns and Dallas on a 3rd and 4 fatigue spot there. All boxes checked. Numbers, narratives continue the buy season for Miami, -1.5, 1 unit official.
Yeah, no, I'm with you here. I would not look towards fading the Heat anytime soon. I'm not betting this game, but I could only look towards the Heat here. It's not for a lot of people. It's a problem here because a lot of people are just gonna look at this and say, "Oh, MPJ out, we're betting the Heat." It's not necessarily that easy. I think it's a lot more than that. There is possibilities that this could be addition by subtraction for the Nuggets. The way how bad Michael Porter Jr. has been, I'm not impressed with them right now. Does bode well for them at the house. I'd be looking for some Jokic props. Obviously, his usage will be a lot higher here without MPJ out here. Guys like Barton. I know Monte Morris was a little banged up as well. I do think he'll give it a go. It's a tough game for me. I don't necessarily like the way that the Heat have fared in Denver in the past years. Obviously, it's a much better Heat team than they've had in years past as well. So I'm not looking towards fading the Heat anytime soon. That's the only way I would look in this game, my guys. Let's go to the next one here. We got the Warriors here, best record in the league, my guys. Warriors been balling. They got a damn good bench as well. I knew Otto Porter was going to be damn good off that bench. You got Jordan Poole taking the next step, Curry, and they didn't necessarily even play a good game to start last night. Blew out the Rockets on accident. End up pushing there minus 13. Now they come minus 3.5, the shortest figure they've laid so far at the house. It's a short figure, in my opinion, to lay for the Warriors. I think this is I'm not gonna say fishy game, but I just think the books think that the Hawks really gonna come to play here. They're only 1-5 on the road. I can tell you the Hawks match up really well with the Warriors. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna transpire to a win or a cover here. I mean, if they're gonna cover the 3.5, then they're gonna win this game. It's a tough one here. Obviously, they have the rest advantage. Warriors been at the house for a while here, Shark. They could continue to clean up here, Shark, but I must say I do think that the books are telling you that the Hawks will play a really good game here. I'd like to lean Hawks. I'm not betting them though. What are we doing, Shark?
I think this is razor sharp yet again. You look at what happened in the last game the Hawks played Phoenix. I think it's a good corollary to how sharp the game is graded. That was minus 4.5. They lost by 4 points. You get 3.5 here. Of course, yeah, the Warriors are smoking hot, but the Warriors do have added motivation. We talk about this all the time. Certain teams do remember more and remember harder. They did get beat down in Atlanta, 117-111, back end of last season, where Atlanta did what they did. Big fourth quarter, 38 points, backdoored it, covered the spread minus 1.5. It moves from Atlanta 1.5 to 3.5. I think it's razor sharp. Again, I want to buy the Hawks. They are 1-5 ATS on the road, 0-6 straight up. Or no, Pelicans, and 1-5 straight up on the road. The Dubs have covered 4 straight games, all blowouts against fairly lackluster competition. So we are definitely data deficient here in terms of how they function against teams like this. The only corollary we really have here is the game against the Clippers at home, which was also a minus 3.5. They won 115-113. They did get backdoor. They're up big in the first quarter, first half. They have shown a tendency to do this. They like to play in the first quarter, first half, and then against the good teams, it's kind of open season. They might get backdoored. There's a lot of angles for both sides. The Hawks should improve. The Warriors should not continue to cover a lot of games at home. But again, the number's fairly solid at 3.5, and you get the revenge game again. It's just a tough spot.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, my guys. I'd say it was pretty fishy to me, the fact that they're grading the Hawks pretty high here as far as just this game. In my opinion, they're grading them pretty high. Like I say, this is the lowest spread that the Warriors have laid so far on this homestand. So they're saying this is the highest chance for them to lose. And this will be the next few games are the Timberwolves and the Bulls. This will be the lowest spread that they'll lay here, maybe less versus the Bulls, but they think that the Hawks are going to come in here and play a really good game. Just let you know, that super short figure. And it's almost like a trap line, in my opinion, too. You see that minus 3 there. This line was at 2.5. You see that 3 there with the Warriors. It inclines you to take it at the house. So with that said alone, I'd be a little sketchy at this game. Let's go. What we got? 2 more games here, my guys. Let's go with this Kings. Go to the Kings, man. We're going to the streets of Sacramento. They almost came back and won the game last night. I must say, expanded a ton of energy. Halliburton was a little down on himself as well. Airballing that. I'm talking, he missed the goal by like 2 feet, man. He had a chance to win the game. The Suns are hot right now, man. They are going on the road here. First game in 5 games, so that's a little bit worrisome, but I know no DeAndre Ayton. They still got a couple of centers out there. I'd be looking towards the Suns here to bounce back, continue their upward movement. I know the Kings are on the home stand. I know it's a short number, all of this. I still think the Suns clean these boys up here, the much better defensive team here. And if revenge means anything, obviously they lost at the house as 8-point favorites by 3 points to this Kings team. No Ayton tonight for the Suns, but I believe they still have the matchups to win this game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Engage the chat, Michael O'Brien. We appreciate it. Basically, the trap line idea. It's a long-term gambling term for when something seems too obvious and the line is short for a good team. So it's a trap. You're walking into a trap. That's all it is. And that's how you use it. People do misuse it. I've spent a lot of time in casinos. I do play poker professionally as well as gamble professionally on sports. I talk to people all the time. I talk to fish, whales, sharps, and anything in between. People misuse gambling terminology all the time. Staying on the course here, this is a tough spot. You do get the 3rd and 4 back-to-back scenario for Sacramento. Obviously, a totally lackluster performance in a matinee yesterday. The line is short, as Jay suggested, -8 at home, coming in here at -2.5. No DeAndre Ayton. There's just a lot of counter narratives here. You would like to buy the fatigue spot fade of the Kings and the revenge buy spot on Phoenix. But again, we're a little bit data deficient on Phoenix on the road. They did beat the Lakers and cover the Lakers in their first road game, but the Lakers have been the worst ATS team in the league, I believe, if not bottom 3. Then they did get absolutely blown out by the Blazers. So we only have 2 games. We're 1-1 ATS. They've been on a long homestand. The Kings are very difficult to predict, and the line is a little short. So it's just a no play for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's definitely a tough game, my guys. The Kings they've looked a lot better this year, I must say. They do have a matchup problem, like with Paul versus Fox. Obviously, that's a matchup, but we'll see how this one looks. Suns the only way I could look in this game, my guys. Last game up, man. We got this bitch ass Hornets team, man. This Hornets squad. There's still the only way I could look tonight. I'm not looking towards the Lakers. LeBron obviously out for a while, maybe an extended period. So may get used to the Lakers may have to get used to playing without LeBron. Now AD is questionable as well here. They're coming off a couple of straight losses. Even though I'd like to lean the Hornets, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers clean them up here. They're off 0-4 ATS run and lost back-to-back games. They're at the house. They have the rest advantage here. They will have, if AD plays, they should have the huge size advantage. It's easy to say, hey, bet against the Hornets again, but some point these fuckers gonna cover a game. I'm not really gonna trust this game. This will be a good game to watch for me, in my opinion. Maybe a good overspot. Shark, what we looking at?
Yeah, this is brutal. I mean, you said it all. There's no angle in this game. You get the awful back-to-back spot hanging out in LA overnight. Staples back-to-back, Clippers, Lakers. They did this last year. They didn't cover either of them. Charlotte, they got blown out by 10 points plus in both. And again, we saw what happened yesterday. This team has the ability to cliff dive on the road. There's no way around it. And now you get the fatigue spot. And sometimes I think there's a bit of a placebo in the mind of these athletes in the fourth quarter of a third and fourth back-to-back. I talk about this all the time. I'm 37 years old. I train, I run, I lift. I work out 5 or 6 days a week at a really high level. NBA basketball is 35 minutes at most for most players coasting. You guys can't run 3 out of 4 days. And all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, you're cliff diving physically. I think it's more emotional. I think it's mental. I think they're told that they're supposed to be tired there. And I don't know. I think it's ridiculous that these guys can't turn up for 3 games in 4 nights at 25 years old. It's
young
ridiculous.
Fucking team, young team. Like,
exactly.
Why are we talking about fatigue with young ass teams, man? But it's in their mind, and we got to remember these are millionaires, and they don't necessarily care about playing basketball every night, man. It's tough, but. And then you see for guys like the Knicks, you see like this is how they play with you. Okay, Embiid's out. All right, Mitchell Robinson, we might give you a night off. Today's NBA, man, it happens.
And the line is short for the Lakers. Historically, this is very short. Again, it's just we're buying. There's a lot of games today. We didn't mention this yet, but there's a lot of games where teams are moving in the same direction. Like even the Memphis game, Memphis just got blown out on the road. Minnesota's off a sequence of losses. There's a lot of teams that are moving the same direction that should get better. It's the same thing. Lakers should get better against the spread, and Charlotte should get better on the road against the spread. I mean, they've been awful, and the Lakers have been awful as well. So it's like when both teams are awful, someone has to win it. But it's not like one team necessarily has more motivation than the other to continue this trend that they've developed. So it's just a total toss. It's really tough to catch.
Yeah, that's the only really time I like to be on something, especially in today's NBA, man. Really, like I try to look at which team is the more motivated team coming in, man. It doesn't always transpire to a win or ATS cover, but that's the side that I'd rather be on here. And here in this fucking game, I have no idea, my guys. Shark, break them off with those officials today.
Yeah, 2 official plays. You're looking at the buy hat. Miami Heat traveling to Denver, -1.5. A double revenge game. The Heat revenge tour will continue. It is showing no signs of stopping. I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Denver really not a lot of high qualified wins so far in the campaign. One corollary, a lackluster Monday environment against Cleveland, a scrappy East opponent. I think Miami comes here and cleans them up. Play number 2, we're going to Chicago. Double revenge game against Brooklyn. Brooklyn had a 3rd and 4 road back-to-back, traveling across the border and back. Detroit, Toronto, Chicago. Double revenge, 2 straight losses for the Bulls. Line scaling towards it. All boxes checked. 1 unit. November 8th, 2021. Thanks for listening, guys. Hell of a show. J Money is money. Close them out.
Yes, sir, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. My guy Ski Profit in the chat as well, man. Ski, guy Ski say he coming on the show on Wednesday, man. So I can't wait. I'm definitely gonna send you the link. I'm gonna text you the night before, man, just to make sure that you're there, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. My guy Shark, man, go and follow him on Twitter at Shark and Sports. Let's go 2-0 today, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, man. Subscribe. This will be replaying on Twitter, man. If you can, retweet the show. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We out, my guys.